Welcome back to another episode of Sippin Tea, where we talk Tottenham, we talk bollocks, but we don't sip tea. I'm TJ. I met my buddy Callum in Dallas watching Tottenham. I'm from Mississippi. He is from London. We thought our accents would work very well together, and so we decided to start a podcast. Unfortunately, Callum was not able to make it this week, but we got our right hand man, the second most famous soccer player out of Pennsylvania, Mr. Dane, the American idiot, is holding it down for Callum today.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back on. Miss not having Callum. He always
Big
brings
shoes
that
to fill.
spitefulness to it.
Our accents. We traded a London accent for a kind of northeastern accent. So at the end of the day, we still have differing accents, which really is what the root of this podcast is all about.
Yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, though, since Callum's not able to join us, we are hijacking this, and this is going to be a baseball podcast for the day. Just kidding. We are going to get some footy in. But for those of y'all that don't know, I am a diehard Atlanta Braves fan. Started going to games when I was about 5. And Dane is a Phillies fan. So for our tons of listeners that tune in to think we're only talking about soccer, we got to hit because our teams are going at it in the NLCS. The Phils tonight just absolutely demolished the Braves to go up 2-1. Dane, were you able to catch any of the game?
I was. So I watched the majority of it. There's multiple points I could talk on, but obviously the biggest one, Bryce Harper finally steps up. And, he wasn't having the best start to the year when he came back from injury, and now it's playoff Bryce. So that's why we paid him all the money, because he shows up whenever we need him the most. And honestly, Nola for the majority of the year was pretty hot and cold, and it looked like tonight he finally had his curveball working, which was great. So I don't know, man. It's weird. I feel like
Ross when he got doubled up the other night to kind of end the game. I know that sucked to be that guy.
Such a play, such a good play though. It was such a good play by, was that Aldi? Was that your center fielder? Is Aldi?
No, Michael Harris.
Oh, Michael Harris. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then overthrew everybody, and then Riley ended up scooping it up, kind of right place, right time. Yeah, we'll have to see. The Phils were hot coming in, so I didn't want to play them or the Dodgers, either one. But I think the Braves and the Dodgers are kind of have that long layoff hangover where you don't get to do in the wild card game.
Yeah,
but
and I was actually just talking about that with my buddy, and we were saying how it's the first year that they've ever had buys, correct? Is this year that they ever had like a first round buy in this?
I think last year was the first year. Yeah.
Oh, last year was
where they went from the 1-game playoff to the 3-game series. So it forces basically your other guys. I think it's like a 5-day layoff that they have, but anyways,
we were thinking if that has anything to do with it, but
yeah, they were showing. I think last year too, like teams do not do well. It looks like, when they have that long layoff, which makes sense, right? Baseball is all about timing and whatever role you're on. Well, we'll wrap up a little baseball talk. Otherwise, Callum will absolutely shut this pod down. I do have to ask one question, though, and maybe we'll just turn this into a sports podcast. But, Dane, I know you're a big Phillies fan. I know you're a big Steelers fan. I did grow up in Mississippi, but I think those are two different cities in Pennsylvania.
You are correct there. Yes.
Yep. So how does that work? And are they rivalry cities? I kind of get a little bit, maybe not so much, but walk me through why we're a fan of two teams in two different cities.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So for football, so I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. When it comes to football, I just absolutely hate everything Philadelphia Eagles. Just because. Okay. I don't know, I find their fans obnoxious, and I everything. And so I'm not an Eagles fan when it comes to that. So that's why I chose Pittsburgh. And then, like, as a kid, one of my best friends was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So I was like, oh, I'm going to be a Steelers fan. And then I fell into like the whole like Ben Roethlisberger, Heinz Ward, Troy Polamalu. Like that's when I kind of grew up like watching those guys play.
Good little run for him, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then when it came to baseball, truth be told, I didn't really get into baseball until probably 4 or 5 years ago. I never really like watched it, never really cared about it. And then at that time, the Pirates were just like one of those teams where it's like, ugh, you know, they weren't very good. And it was like, oh, the Phillies are pretty good. Yeah. And I actually went to a Phillies game and I was like, you know what? I'll support the Phillies now, which I know it's weird because it's like completely two different ends of the spectrum. But yeah,
I guess
I don't like Philly for much
you grew up
things.
a little bit closer to Philly though, right? Than Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I grew up like an hour and a half away from Philly, and then I was like 3 hours from Pittsburgh. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, fun little tidbit. Now that won't bother me when I see you post about two different cities. Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny if the Braves crash out early. At least you know, living in Dallas, you can pull for the Rangers, who absolutely exploded through their division series. Do you have a chance to get out to a Rangers game when you lived here?
I did. I went to one Rangers game. It was they actually played the Dodgers, and I went
Okay.
towards like the last part of July. I went out and saw a Rangers game, and that stadium is man, that stadium is
It's
nice.
it's nice. It's funny. Their old stadium was such like a beautiful baseball park though. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah. I mean, it just felt like a traditional, like good baseball stadium. Had lots of character. Um, the only problem is right. It's 107 here, the
Yeah.
majority of baseball season. So I get
Oh
it. Right.
man.
They had to build the roof. Cool. All right, we got to shut down the baseball talk as much as I could continue on about it. And let's talk a little footy. Let's talk a little Tottenham. Do you actually happen to watch the match? I feel like we're kind of getting you at least into an analyst phase for Tottenham
Oh
matches.
yeah. I did watch it. I did watch it. I mean, I guess you could say squeaked by, but I don't know if that's the right term. But I mean, you got the win. You're still in first place. You know, it's
Yeah.
you know.
So this was funny, and this is actually a good, I guess, good podcast subject. So it's funny, whatever. And I was so scared, like going to bed Friday night, that you know you're gonna sleep in and miss the game, right? So I mean, it was a
Mhm.
6:30 a.m. match. So for me, right, you got to wake up at 5:30, get up, whatever, get ready, get to the pub. Um, and so I didn't go to bed till like I bet it was like 1 or 2 on Friday night because it was just that either that pumped to watch it, that pumped to see everybody. It's also Friday night, so whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything. I think I watched like The Monuments Men on Netflix, and then on the way to the pub at like 6 a.m., I dropped my transmission. Passing a Waffle House off Jupiter Road, and so I went through a red light and just lost all acceleration whatsoever. Coasted into
Oh
a
my
Waffle House
lord.
parking lot. I get out and fluid is just everywhere. I'm talking about like on the ground, all like under my fender wells. Yeah, so evidently one of the seals on my transmission failed. So, so funny enough,
Oh
I didn't
shoot.
make it. I never made it to the pub. So it happened probably, I don't know, it was only like 10 minutes from the house. So I called Megan and I was like, man, just come get me. And it was so funny because I was texting Cal too. I was like, hey, I can't make it. He's like, dude, I'll just come back and get you, and I was tempted, and even hindsight, he's like, I should just went onto the pub and watched it. But like when something happens, you're like so consumed by it. I was like, no, I was like, I got to get home. I'll figure it out. So we did end up like calling the tow truck and everything, but it was funny. So basically, I caught most of the first half at the house, and then the tow truck kind of got there at like the 75th minute. So I kind of finished the rest of it like on my phone while watching him do his thing. Um, so it was a wild Luton match, which as a Spurs fan going into it, I think we expected the game versus Luton to be a little nervy. So it was very
Yeah.
Spursy on the fact that truck broke down on the way to the pub. But what do you think about the red card? Or maybe even just Basuma's antics. The first yellow
Yeah.
where he essentially just tackled the guy. Um, I thought that was fair, right? I mean, I thought that was well, obviously it was a yellow, but I didn't have a problem with him making that foul to go ahead and kind of stopping that counter. Um,
Hmm.
but I have no idea what he was thinking. Um, throwing himself to the ground like that. I don't know if he was watching some Michael Phelps documentaries or something beforehand.
Yeah. Which, honestly, I haven't seen a second yellow red really be pulled out for that before. Like, because
Yeah,
that's like
yeah,
pretty big to do. Like, it's pretty big to go, oh, okay, I know you're already on one yellow. Let me pull out a second one, and obviously you're off. So
yeah.
I've never seen that. So when I saw it come out, I was like, holy shit, like that has to be pretty bad. And then I looked at it and I was like, all right, yeah, it was pretty bad. I understand now
I
why it
know it was
happened.
such a bad dive, but I'm with you. Like when it first happened, I was like, man, that's tough for the ref to give him the second yellow
Mm-hmm.
because of a dive, and but it was such a bad dive. Maybe he did deserve it.
And that's the thing is like, honestly, when I saw that happen, I was sitting there and I was like, okay, we're sitting at halftime, 0-0 at home for Luton. Is it Luton or Luton?
I
It's
think it's
Luton, right?
Luton. I think it's
Oh,
Luton.
it's Luton? Okay. So whatever the
You've
fuck
got
they are.
you've got two Americans breaking down how to pronounce Luton or Luton. So
I know.
take it for what it's worth.
But I know it's funny. But I was looking at it, I was like, oh, you're down 0, like you're 0-0 at halftime and you're down a man. Like I was thinking that maybe you guys would come out and just at that point, like just protect not to
Sit
lose the
back.
game, just to not,
Protect the draw.
yeah, just not drop 3 points, just drop 2. And you came out and then Mickey Van de Ven scored, and I was like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, and then we definitely sank back. But and it's funny. I think you got to keep giving Madison his props because that was a funky wild corner, right? That
Yeah.
he ran, and I forgot kind of even now who he played it off with too. But Madison again, making goals, but it was so like Van de Ven is so light on his feet and so
Oh,
fast. And
yes.
I think he's like 6'5", so it's, the American in me really kind of wants to sign him up for the Cowboys, see if he can play any tight end. Because he had little twinkle toes, like just, hovering around, getting his body around to get something on that.
I know. Because, like, I saw it whenever they played the corner short, and then Madison came over and beat the guy one-on-one to the, like, towards the end line, and then he played it back, but he kind of zinged that ball in. And when he
Yeah.
zinged that ball in, I mean, Van de Ven was probably, like, 5 feet away from him, so he had to, like, turn his body quickly to be able to place it far post, and I was, like, pretty surprised for him to be able to do that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in which I think keeper did get a hand on it or two, but I mean, when it's that close and there's that much traffic, that's going to be hard to stop.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, top of the league going into another international break, which again, I have no idea why there's so many international breaks. I feel like starting off,
There's
but I guess some folks are playing important matches while I don't even know who the U.S. is playing. I know they're in Nashville, like training.
Yeah, I think they're doing that. I mean, I don't really know, but I don't think that any of the top players are going to even be playing. Like,
For the
I
U.S.,
understand that, like, international. Yeah, I don't like. I know that they have their roster out, but I don't know if they're actually going to play like their starters.
yeah, I mean, and it's probably even a fun little transition for us because there really wasn't much else to talk about the Tottenham game. Got our point,
Yeah,
or got our goal, got our 3 points, and got out of Luton without getting stabbed. Um, but yeah, it's kind of transitioning back, to the U.S. men's national team. I feel like a lot of our European guys are on a good run of form too.
hmm
So it's almost like, man, you don't even want to risk it. I mean, Pooley and Musa seem to be flying in Milan. McKinney keeps getting in for the Juventus game. So
yeah,
yeah, it's exciting time for the Americans abroad. So I wouldn't mind maybe some of them getting a nice little break too.
yeah. I mean, the only thing that I can see is even if they don't play, just like going to the trainings, just getting back together with everyone, just kind of still having that chemistry there.
Yeah,
Because
maybe
they need to work on that a lot. So
maybe Gio and Greg will go out and to Hattie B's or something in Nashville and share a hot
yeah,
chicken and talk things over.
they gotta hash some stuff out there.
Let's transition a little bit, and now, man, Callum's not here to mute you. United got a win.
Praise the Lord. My week was actually a good weekend. It was good. And I'm not going to lie to you. I have an embarrassing thing to say.
Yeah, go for it.
Was watching the game. They go down 1-0. And I was like, here we go again. Like, fuck this. I don't want to watch this. I don't want to be a part of this. Like, I'm not doing this again this week. Like, I'm not getting my hopes up thinking that we're going to come back and even get a point from this game. So I turned it off, and I was like, Lucy, let's go to the grocery store.
No
Went to the
way.
grocery store. We're at the grocery store, and I check it, and it's like the 85th minute. I'm like, you know what? Like, fuck, we lost this game again. Like, this is so stupid. I'm so sick and tired of, like, them being piece of shit this year. And then I get, like, 2 notifications, like, 93rd minute, Scotty McTominay scores, and I'm like, no way! And then there's like another one 2 minutes later, like Scotty scores again, and I'm just like, holy shit, I missed that.
Oh man, I saw one of the best. Maybe I'll see if I can figure out how to drop a link or something into the YouTube for this. But it was a TikTok, and it was like, the premise was around the sports betting, right? So it's like, taken from the account of the bookie, but. And I'm not even going to try to do my British accent. But he's calling in. He's like, "You're taking United to win." He's like, "Okay, whatever," And he's like, "McTominay. Oh, okay, McTominay on the scoreline." He's like, "Mate, he's not even starting." Okay, got him off the bench scoring. Got it. He's like, "You got him scoring a brace." Oh, And then he's like, "And you're also saying that Harry Maguire is going to provide an assist." And so,
Yeah.
dude, it was so funny just thinking to the shitstorm that United are in, and I guess who ended up getting you out of it for that game.
I know, and I love Scotty. Like, I've always loved Scotty. He's one of those players that like gives you his all every time he's in, and he might not be the best all the time when he's in, but he does give you everything he's got. I love that for him because transfer window we were looking at getting rid of him, and then he ended up staying. Then he's obviously not seeing the field as much with our midfield, even though he probably is going to see the field a lot more now. So love that for him. 2 quality goals too. I mean, they weren't terrible.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw Harry Maguire in the starting lineup, I figured that we were just gonna throw the white flag up in the second half and be done. So
I didn't see it was I saw it, but I've forgotten it. I don't remember the goal that they gave up. Did Onana have another howler, or does that?
Oh, it was another. Yeah, that's the other thing is that you have to get rid of him at this. Like, not even get rid of him. Like, just bench him. Don't play him. Like, I don't care how much money you spend on him. He is giving up howlers every single game.
Who is United's number 2?
I was literally just trying to look that up. So it doesn't matter. Honestly, you could put Harry Maguire in there. It probably might be a better position.
That forehead would take up some goal, wouldn't it? I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I'm looking up because I never wanted them to get rid of Henderson. I really did not. And then obviously he left. Wasn't too happy with that. So they honestly, I don't even know what they would do at this point. I mean, I understand them saying like they have to play him because they spent the money on him, and like he wasn't a terrible goalie, but he's just not good. It's Tom Heaton as our backup.
Oh,
so
he was on loan somewhere last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was.
See what Wiki's got.
Yeah, because he's 37. I forgot about that. He's old as hell.
No, he wasn't. Yeah. I guess he last went on loan to Villa.
Yeah.
Or no, he used to play at Burnley. Maybe he was at Villa, and y'all bought him back in like 2021. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I don't even know. At this point, you got to put somebody else in there. It cannot be Onana anymore.
I keep waiting. I saw that Reguilon was out at dinner. He posted on his Instagram. Out with De Gea. It looked like in Manchester.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know. Part of me, just as a fan, would love to see De Gea like come back in and just be like, all right, never mind. Sorry, that was our bad. You're back. Get back between the sticks.
Yeah,
you're number 1.
I would love that so much. That would be great. So, like that. I mean, I was thinking like, at the beginning of the year, like we got rid of De Gea. Like, hopefully, we're not going to give up howlers just for no reason now, because De Gea did make great saves, but then also gave up howlers himself too. But now we don't make saves; we just give up howlers. So we had a good thing, and then we wished it away. So
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much time can you afford to give Onana either. Like, I mean, it's almost like the fan base is already gone for him,
yeah,
and that to me, once you start losing the fan base, it's tough.
yeah. I don't know how that's gonna work. And like I get it. He's a young keeper, and we spent the money on him, so like we should give him a chance. But it's funny because it brings you back to whenever they were in preseason and they were playing over here in the States, and it was like Onana's first game, and he got like chipped from like midfield or something. Like he got chipped by
Yeah. Yep.
someone, and I remember like the things on Twitter being like, Onana makes a mistake, like he was not a good signing, all this, and I was like, oh guys, like fuck off, like he's gonna be good, like he's don't say that, and then no, maybe they were right, so.
And I guess he was actually only at Inter for 1 year, wasn't he?
Yeah, but in
Yeah.
the Champions League, he was so good. He was so good for Inter in the Champions League.
Well,
Like I just don't get it.
I think you guys are going to lose him in January anyway for Afcon. So
Yeah,
maybe that'll be your chance for Mr. Heaton to if he comes in and probably does halfway decent, he may be able to keep that spot.
I'll start a petition for Mr. Baggett to get in there for us. We need it. So
If y'all thought De Gea was bad with his feet, you wait till I get in there. Um, let's see. Did you watch any other games this week? I know we got
I did the
Yep.
City
Go
Arsenal
for
game.
it.
That was a big one.
Oh, what a
That was
snooze
a big one.
fest!
Yeah, it
So
was a snooze fest, but
what was so and for me again because I at this point I'd done had a truck towed to a shop, and I think me and Megan like made plans to I don't know, go do something, just get out of the house, and it was like, you know what, I just want to go home. Like I don't want to do anything. I want to put on my pajama pants and like set in my recliner and just like watch stuff. And so I was kind of pumped. I was like, you know what, that's a good match. Get my mind off everything. And I think it literally put my mind off everything so much I fell asleep during the middle of it. Um,
mhm.
and then I don't know. Even I was seeing. I mean, Martinelli did look good when they brought him on. Like he definitely looked like the best player and energized it. Um, but and obviously I'm going to talk about Arsenal some. But I was even seeing on Twitter where they've made like poster prints of the call of the goal, but like in the middle of it, right? It's like Alfake's face, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if they can,
Yeah.
you know, and if anything, it to me, City seem off, and maybe it was because they lost Mahrez and Gundogan, and really, I guess didn't replace either one of them. Um,
Yeah, they don't have Rodri either. Rodri's out of the midfield.
yeah,
He's hurt right now, and
yeah.
so
I think I did see something too, like where maybe they've lost the last handful of Premier League games when he didn't play, or maybe it's just like his last
mhm.
two. Um, and it's funny too. I was even kind of watching it. It happens a lot, right, where Holland just doesn't show up in these big games either. Um,
Mhm.
and for whatever reason, I mean, he'll bang in 4 against Luton. But it really does seem like when they need him to step up. And same for Champions League final. I don't think he scored.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think he scored in the FA either. I'm trying to remember.
No, and
I don't know.
the thing is, I wanted to talk about this and to kind of get your opinion on it. Did you see that tackle that Kovacic had in the Arsenal game?
I did.
That
All of them.
questionably was a red.
Yeah.
Questionably.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it was. I mean, I have a feeling the Tottenham Liverpool game probably did play a little bit into that. Of most people felt like those were soft. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, soft reds. Yeah. So when I saw that, that was kind of my first thing that went to my mind, is because there was so much scrutiny over that that they allowed him to stay on, and I couldn't believe that Pep kept him on either. Like at halftime, I would have pulled him, right? I mean, either for one, reckless, and two, just being dumb, right?
Oh yeah. 100%. And I'm surprised that like no one really got injured from it. And like with Arsenal, if you look at them right now, like Saka's out with he's out for at least a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months, with his injury right now.
Yeah.
So I
And
mean,
what
I
and
just
I
saw he
think
got pulled from the England squad, I think, today
yeah,
or
yeah.
like this week. I think, yeah,
And I think Saka was on like something crazy too, right? Where it was like 2 or 3 years straight of not missing a
hmm
Premier League game. Well,
yeah, I know.
not too much pity. I really and right as a Spurs supporter too, I really needed a draw just to make the table look that much better. Um, but whatever, I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, finally, I mean, Brighton bounced back. They got a nice 2-2 draw at Liverpool. That was pretty big.
Let's
So
see.
the previous week they got beat like 6-1 or something, didn't they?
Um, yeah, and that was after what they'd had a nice win too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else. The West Ham Newcastle game. I don't know if you caught any of that. It ended 2-2.
Yeah,
What
Isaac is so good.
West Ham come back in the 89th minute or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I picked up Isak on my fantasy team.
So did I, but he's hurt. Did you see he's hurt this week? Well, I
No,
guess
I hadn't.
they don't play this week, obviously, but when they get back from international break, we'll see. So,
Ugh. Let's see
I
what
know.
else was there. Any other scores worth talking about?
I mean, Chelsea finally got a dominating win. I mean, it was against Burnley, but that
Yeah.
game
What about
started out 1-0.
and Fulham come out with the big? I mean, I think Sheffield are fairly terrible, but getting a good
Yeah,
3-1 win against them's gotta make our boy Ross McSweeney very happy.
it does. It does. It's got to make him very happy, especially with all of their top players, if you would say, leaving recently. So I know he was unhappy about that, but um,
Oh, let's see. I'm
yeah,
just
I
trying to
mean,
take a look at the table. Yes, Sheffield are terrible.
they're bottom. Yeah.
They have
Who's the bottom? It's probably Sheffield.
Burnley,
Um,
Bournemouth, Sheffield in that order, with Luton barely outside of it. What's their
because
points?
they got one win. Oh wow. Uh, United will be there eventually. No,
Hey, I mean, you and Chelsea holding down that 10th, 11th place. Who had that
yeah,
going on?
I know. The good. I just look at it now when I see that they're in 10th place, and I'm like, you know what? First place is only 20 points. We're only 8 points away from there. Like a lot of shit can happen yet. So
I think yeah, and let's see when does Champions League come back up? Because I've been jokingly calling y'all the group of
oh,
dads, where it's well, I mean, I guess on paper because it's who Bayern, Galatasaray, United, and
and
Copenhagen.
that's yeah, Copenhagen. Yeah, but the thing is we're in last place. So
Yeah, well, I mean, and Copenhagen almost drew Bayern, right? That was
yeah,
I don't know if you caught any of that game, but that was actually a pretty fun game to watch.
I didn't
Um,
catch any of it because I was watching the United game, but yeah. I mean,
you
it might
know,
just be a short episode.
just
We don't
back in
have Callum on
Europa.
here. Yeah.
Well, and for what it's worth, I think actually, I think Sevilla are doing well in their group. So that their typical their typical mo is to bounce out of the Champions League and then go win Europa.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it is.
maybe Ten Hag can deliver. Has he got a trophy with y'all yet?
He has one. I always forget the name of this damn thing. Um,
Not the Community Shield.
no,
Carabao Cup, Red Bull.
I always forget the name of it. It is. Yeah, it's the Carabao Cup. You're right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Off brand Red
Because
Bull
it wasn't
Cup.
it called something else too?
Used to be called the Carling Cup, right? Or the League Cup.
Okay. Yeah.
But I call it
Okay.
the off brand because they still use a bull and everything. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I knew that Carabao. I don't even know. I didn't even know that was a thing, like an actual word. I still don't know what it is.
I
I guess
didn't
technically
even know
that's
that
that
either.
moose. That's that moose-looking thing. It's not a bull.
And you're in Texas. Everything's a bull.
Whatever. It's a cartoon on a can. Oh me!
Yeah.
Since I just embarrassed myself about a caribou / carabao, I think the words are spelled different. Hold on.
I think you're right. I don't think it's the same thing.
It is not the same thing. No, yeah, this carabao is definitely a bull, and apparently that's not even a
Yeah.
word. It auto corrected the caribou for me. Well, anyway, maybe now that we've settled the debate that Ten Hag has won the Caribou Cup for
There it
United,
is.
maybe you guys can bounce down, stay up this year, and win Europa. Yeah,
Maybe. Yeah. At this point, it's just we just need to string some wins together, and then I'll start thinking like that. Right now, I'm not going to think like that until I see at least more than 2 wins on a score sheet. So
yeah, no, that's fair. Maybe we'll end with this. Have you watched the Beckham documentary yet on Netflix?
I've seen a little. I saw a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I haven't finished it completely, but I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I just finished. I think episode 3. It's kind of funny, like watching it. Which even just as a kid growing up, not really being too exposed to soccer, right? Like you knew David Beckham,
Yeah.
and so it's funny. I feel like had I been growing up like during that time and able to watch it, like I'd probably be a United fan because I don't know. It's just even watching this documentary, it's just so I guess easy to like him, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways,
No,
yeah,
I agree.
I finished the episode last night when they won the treble. So that was a
Oh, yeah, yeah.
very good episode. I'm sure for Man U supporters, it's fun to go back and relive that. I will relive the 2008 League Cup for Spurs. That being said, I think we'll sign off. We missed our boy Callum. Hopefully, we did him proud, and we only kept the
We
pod
did.
halfway to baseball. That being said, come on, you Spurs.